Hey everyone, and hope everyone's having a great day out there. Today we're going to talk about why not all cookware cooks the same, even when it's made out of the same material, and how this can affect your cooking. My name is Lee, and I'm just a dude talking food. As I said above, today we're going to address why not all cookware cooks the same, even when it's made from the same materials. So thanks for joining me today. I'm an ex professional cook, and this is part of my ongoing effort to get people to cook their own food and eat less commercial products. Please like, comment, and subscribe as I'm trying to grow this channel, and all these actions help it grow and allow me to make more content. Today, we're going to look at various cookware metals such as aluminum, stainless steel, cast iron, carbon steel, and copper, and why these all cook differently, and why pots and pans will even cook differently when they're made from the same metals. These are the most common and typical cookware materials you'll encounter, so we're going to focus on these first. With all the choices out there and all the different metal types and construction methods used, it can be very confusing when you start to learn cooking. It can be confusing and frustrating even for experienced home cooks. So, on top of the different metals cooking differently, two nonstick aluminum pans that seem the same can cook radically different. One may cook perfectly when used at a recipe required heat, while another pan or pot may barely hold the heat and not cook correctly at all. Let's look at why this happens and some factors that can affect your cookware. Aluminum is a very common cookware material. It's the most common, so let's look at this first. So, when we're talking about aluminum, it's used most commonly because it's cheap, easy to use, it's lightweight, and it's also a great conductor of heat. The only thing that would be better would be copper or gold. Gold is a little too heavy and expensive. We really wouldn't want to use pots and pans made out of it. And we're going to discuss copper just a little later in this video. Aluminum works so well that it's actually used in other types of pan construction like stainless steel to help it distribute heat better. In general, you don't have to use as much heat to heat the pot or pan, so you're going to save on your energy bills. It's easy to use, it's very beginner friendly, and it's also easier to replace over time due to the lower cost. But there are some issues with aluminum. In its pure form, it's not non-stick and usually has to be coated with a non-stick coating or go through an anodizing process. If not, acidic foods like wines, vinegars, lemons, tomatoes can cause aluminum to leach into the food, changing the colors of your sauces, foods, anything you're cooking, and the taste. And there's also been a link between aluminum and Alzheimer's and memory loss. So we just don't want to be eating aluminum. So, also, depending on which aluminum alloy they use, it may not heat as evenly or as quickly as pure forms of aluminum. Aluminum made outside the US may contain lead, which is toxic. So, not all aluminum cookware is constructed the same. There are three main methods of construction: stamping, forging, and casting. In stamping, a disc of aluminum is cut out of a sheet. Then a hydraulic press smashes this cold disc of aluminum around a pot or a pan mold. It's the cheapest to produce, the most commonly used, but the pan will try to revert its shape back to a flat disc. So eventually you'll get lots of warping and denting. And as I said, these are usually the cheaper of the aluminum pans out on the market. Forged pans are work like blacksmithing. Created from an alloy ingot, heat and pressure from hammering are then used to shape the pot or pan into creation. This allows for thicker cookware than stamping, so it's less likely to warp or bend, one, since heat was used, and two, it's of a thicker construction. This is usually higher quality and a little bit more costly than pans that are stamped. Casting is the way the best quality aluminum cookware is made. Molten aluminum is poured into a mold and allowed to cool. Alloys can sometimes separate, but this method generally produces a better piece of cookware. Usually, you'll get no deformation over time as the cookware's shape is set while it's hot, not cold stamped, as we've seen in the other methods up above. This leads to a more durable and longer living pan. They tend to heat more evenly as well. After whatever construction method is used, they are either sprayed with nonstick coating or put through anodization. This is an electrolysis process to oxidize the pan. It gives it a harder outside layer. This is not a coating, but literally part of the pan. This stops aluminum from leaching into acidic foods when used this way, but often anodized aluminum pans are given a nonstick coating as well, increasing their overall usefulness. They cost a little more, but in general, they're worth it. Stainless steel is the next most common material used for cookware, and there's not as much to talk about this as there was with aluminum, thankfully. Stainless steel is very durable. It doesn't warp, dent, or deform under extreme temperature changes. This makes them amazing for long term use for restaurants and serious home cooks. They take abuse easily. But they also take some skill to use as foods can stick way easier and you have to be very proficient in your techniques. This being said, not all stainless steel cookware is the same. Stainless steel doesn't heat evenly in general. It's not really a great cooking material, but as I said, it's durable. So they often layer stainless steel with aluminum. These pans either have aluminum layered into the base of the cookware, or higher quality stainless steel will layer the aluminum all the way through the whole pan from edge to edge. This is called cladding, whether it's on the bottom or through the entire pan. If pans have clad bottoms, they heat evenly from underneath, but the sides can vary in temperature. If they are clad all the way from edge to edge, they cook much more evenly and hold their heat better in general. Cast iron is made the same way cast aluminum cookware is made. Molten iron is poured into a mold to create the finished cookware desired. When I'm thinking of cast iron, I'm thinking of the Old West, pioneering, homesteading, and the expansion west of America. Cast iron was widely used and passed down for generations. It's extremely durable and should rarely warp or deform, making it suitable to rugged environments that may damage, dent, or beat up other cookware. I've got a friend that has pans in his family going back to the 1800s. Cast iron takes time to get hot, but it holds their heat well and are suitable for stove, in the oven, outdoor grill cooking. You can even throw it on top of a pile of coals at a campfire. It's really remarkable stuff. The major issue with cast iron is the weight and the care. They have to be seasoned first and continually treated with oil and heat to build up a nonstick coating over time. Until this is done, acidic foods can react with the metal just like we saw with aluminum, affecting both our foods and our cookware. Cleaning can also take more time since water can damage cast iron, hence the need for continual seasoning and heating to dry and coat them so that they don't rust. There's also enameled cast iron that's coated in different colored enamels. This is the best way to start with cast iron as it's a little more user friendly. This way you get the heat retention and even cooking benefits of cast iron, but the upkeep is easier since you don't have to season or perform the normal maintenance. Acidic foods are also less of a concern since the foods never touch the iron itself. You can also wash in water without the concern of rusting unlike normal cast iron. But the coating is a little more fragile and can chip over a longer time period. If you find yourself interested in cast iron, there are whole groups dedicated online to the restoration of, upkeep, and cooking with cast iron. It's not for beginners due to the upkeep needed, but once you get some skill, it's definitely worth learning about. Carbon steel is the backbone of the restaurant industry. It's made by mixing steel with small parts of carbon. This creates a very responsive metal that can be made thin, heats evenly, and doesn't have to have any other metals layered or clad into it. Carbon steel withstands very high temperatures and is often, as I stated, the most common pan used in restaurants. If you've ever seen any shows like Hell's Kitchen or Kitchen Nightmares, you'll see stacks and stacks of these pans being used. They're lightweight, durable, and they still cook well when they're beat up. They're also the most common wok material since they handle high heat so well. It's not all roses, though. There are some issues with carbon steel as they do take some skill to use. They're high performance and they respond to small changes in heat really quick. That's why you always see chefs lifting, tilting pans as they cook to control the temperature. Carbon steel cookware has to build up some sort of seasoning like cast iron, but not to the same degree. I'm just going to blow through copper cookware because this cookware is not really suitable for home chefs, or at least not beginning home chefs. It's highly conductive and responds to heat changes quickly. I mean, copper's used for wiring since it works so well and it's so conductive, so it works well as in pans too. This makes it a great cooking surface, but they often line the inside cooking surface with tin since acidic foods can cause metal leaching like we saw with aluminum and cast iron. Copper is super expensive and also fragile. It's soft, it dents easy, not making it suitable for heavy restaurant use without great care. And for home cooks, it's very nice, but it's not worth the money when you're starting out. So, in summary, we see aluminum as a cheap and easy to use product. It's a good beginner pan. I recommend getting nonstick anodized if possible, as it's more durable and it cooks better. Stainless steel is the next step up, offering durability and a great searing ability, but it's not nonstick and it does take some skill to use. Cast iron is heavy and durable, but it cooks evenly and retains heat well, but it requires constant upkeep, and I recommend enameled cookware, which is sort of beginner cast iron requiring a lot less upkeep. Carbon steel is the perfect combination of all three above, but it takes skill to use and upkeep on seasoning like cast iron. So, this being said, why do I hate this pan? Well, it's stamped aluminum, it doesn't hold heat, the nonstick coating isn't conductive, it has a rubber handle so it can't go in the oven. It's literally the bane of my existence. I use it maybe once a year. I don't even know why I haven't thrown it out yet. Just my frugalness, I guess.